Okay, here are the notes. Take these notes down. I'm going to show you kind of like a little shortcut, something that just ties everything together, and it applies everything we've been learning here for these exponents. Right, it's going to ask you to simplify. Okay, what I'm talking about is this. Number 1, 2k4 over k. Now I know I showed you one way when they were both positive, and then we know that when they're negative we can move them up or down, right? When they have a negative exponent, let me clarify that. When it's a negative exponent, we're talking about the exponent, right? When this doesn't have an exponent, it's a 1, right? When it doesn't show anything, it's a 1. So instead of splitting it up and doing it the other way, let's just do this. Ready? Just so that it's clear and we're kind of just doing the same thing on all the problems. When we have a quotient rule, when it's division, right? This is division. This is what I'm going to help you out, and hopefully this just is a lot easier. We're going to want to move. I'll write it down. Move variables, right? The same letter. Move variable to the same side. Now we don't have a side like a left and a right side. We have a top. We're either going to move them both to the top or we're going to move both to the bottom. Okay, we're going to move it to the same side. That's what I'm kind of going with it. So here for number 1, if it says 2k4 and you have a k1, I'm going to move the 1 up. Now remember when we move these, right? Like before, if it was a negative exponent and you move it up, it becomes positive. It changes sign. You have to remember to change the sign. Well, the same thing happens here. If it's a positive 1 and I'm going to move it up, guess what? Now it's going to be what? It's going to be gone here, but when you bring it up here, it'll be k to the what? Negative 1, right? It was positive 1 here, and now it's to the negative 1. And you have nothing left in the bottom. You can just put a 1. And now you're doing 2k4 times k negative 1. And now we just do the product rule. We know the product rule, we just add the exponents. So that'll be what? 2, the 2 is not going to reduce with anything. That's 4. When you add 4 with a negative 1, well, that's just like 4 take away 1. Your answer is 2k3. Right? When there's a 1 on the bottom, you don't have to write it. But when there's a 1 in the numerator, you do have to keep it up there. So we're bringing them both to the same side. Now, some of you may be thinking, hey, what if I would have, let me try this number 1 again. What if I would have moved the bigger one down? What if I would have moved the k4 down this way, right? Because I didn't really specify which way to move it. Well, you can do that, but if you move this 4 down here, now this will be k what? Well, if it's positive 4, it'll be negative 4 here, right? Now you'll still get the right answer, but just watch here. Now when I do this and move it this way, we only have the 2 left on top. But now when you're adding when you do the product rule here, it'll be 1 take away 4. You see? It'll be 1 take away 4. 1 take away 4 is not 3. You'll get 2 over what? K to the what? When you add this, you get what? Negative 3. Now, it's fine. It's correct. You've done everything well. But just remember, you cannot leave anything with negative exponents. So now all you would have to simply do is move this one what? Up, right? We move it up to change it to positive. And we'll get the same answer. See, we're going to get 2 what? When you move this negative 3 up, it becomes positive 3. And there's nothing left in the bottom. And we get the same answer. So that's a good thing about math. If you do it right, there's only some problems. There's a couple of ways you can solve it. And the same thing is happening here. We did one approach here, we did a different approach here. And later you'll know which way to move so that when you add them, it's just positive. But even if you move it and they add and you get a negative number or a negative exponent, well, then just move it. If it's in the bottom, move it to the top, makes it positive. If it's a negative exponent here, you just move it to the bottom and makes it positive. All right, let's look at number 2. N3, 2, and 4. That's number 2. Now, I want to move it so that when I add them, it gives me a positive answer. I don't want to move the 4 up. That'll make the negative bigger here. So I'm actually going to move what? Let me copy it again. I'm going to move this one down. And when I move it down, it'll be n what? Not positive. Remember, it changes sign. You got to change the sign. So now it's not here and it's down here. So what's left on the top? There's nothing there. 1 over. I got the 2. And then now this is what? N to the power what? You add these 4, take away 3. Add a 4 with a negative 3. That's like 4 take away 3. You get your answer 1. With a 2, the numbers are the n to the power of 1. 4 take away 3 is 1. You could put a 1 there or you don't have to put a 1. There's number 2. Right? So we don't want to have 2 variables. We don't have the same 2 letters. We want to move them to the same side, remember? Either to the top, both of them, or to the bottom. Now, again, if I would have moved this one up, I would have got a negative 1 here, n to the power negative 1, and then then you just have to move it down because you can't have negative exponents. We'll still get the same answer. Number 3, b to the 8, 4, b to the 3. So which one should I move? Do I want to move the bigger one down here and make it negative exponent here? No. So let's move this one to the top. So that'll be b8, and now I got what? B to the what? If it's positive 3 but you move it, remember, change the sign. And what's the only thing left on the bottom? A 4. Okay, now the 4 stays on the bottom, and what is b what? 8 take away 3? That'll be b5 over 4. Done. Right? So if I have the same 2 variables, whether they're both positive or there's one negative or whatever, just move them both to the same side. Either you're going to move the one from the bottom up or the one from the top down. Okay, let's keep going. Number 4. 3a to the negative 3. Okay? And this is when we started moving them. Remember when they were negative. Okay. Remember that these first 3 we did, they were both positive. Now, what if you see a negative? Well, I don't want to keep a negative. This is the one that I know that I'm going to move. You don't want to have a negative exponent. I don't want to move this one up here, then I'll have another. I mean, you could. You'll still get it right. You'll have another extra steps, but move the negative down here so they can both be positive. So I'm moving this negative 3 and I move it here. It's going to be what? Positive 3. So it's going to be the only thing left on the top 3. The 2 is still there. What do I do with a4 and a3? You add them. 4 plus 3. Remember to change the sign. When you move it, change the sign of the exponent. It was negative 3. When you moved it down, it's positive 3. Final answer, the 3 is the only thing left in the numerator, and the bottom is a 2 and a what? 7. Correct. All right, let's keep rolling. Let's try some more of these. Number 5. K over 2k negative 2. All right. So I know when it says k, it has a positive 1 there, and this is 2k negative 2. When you have a negative 1, that's the one you move. This one is going to be negative 2, but when I move it up here, it's going to be k what? Positive 2. Final answer here, we add the exponents k3, right? 1 plus 2 is 3 over 2. Number 6. 4p3 over 4p negative 1. Well, right away, I know that the 4 divided by 4 cancel. Always look at the numbers to reduce. These cancel. They divide out, right? 4 divided by 4 is 1. I'm left with p3 over p negative 1. Which one do you move? Well, when you see a negative, that's the one that moves. This one's not going to be here anymore. It's negative 1. When you move it over here, it's going to be what? Positive 1. And when you have a 1 in the bottom, we really don't have to write it. What do I do with p3 and another p1? You add them. Final answer, p4, right? 3 plus 1, 4. Number 7. Remember, you can pause it. This is a video. You can pause it. You can rewind it. Number 7. I'm trying to go a little quicker because I want to get as many problems done, right? M3, P4, 2M negative 2, P2. All right. Remember, we have to move them. You don't want to move them both. You're either going to move the M, one of these M's up or one of these M's down. Same thing with this. Either one up or one down. Okay. So, I'm going to realize that the numbers are a 1 and a 2, right? There's a 1 here. I don't have to write it, but there's nothing to reduce. On the M's, let's see. I'm going to decide to move this one down because when this one turns positive and they add, it'll give me a positive exponent. And for the P's over here, I got P4 and P2. I'm going to decide to move this one up. And this is a positive 2, but when I move it up here, it's going to be what? Negative 2. Remember, when you move them, you change the sign. This one was negative and I moved it down, it turned positive. This one was positive, when I moved it up, it turns negative. Because you want to move them to the same side, which I mean either the top side or the bottom side. And now what's left here? 4 take away 2 gives me a positive 2, right? Because you add them. And we still got that 2 there. And negative 2 plus 3 is the same as what? 3 take away 2. When you add these, you get positive 1. All right, good. They're getting a little tougher. Number 8. Well, we have 2 variables, and sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're negative. Number 8, 2, 4. That's going to reduce. X negative 3, X positive 3. Y positive 4, Y negative 2. Okay. So you might want to break this down like this. I can break it down and look at just the numbers, and then just the X's, and then just the Y's. I mean, if this helps you, then by all means, go ahead. That way you're seeing these separate. This can only reduce with this. This can only simplify with this, and same and same. All right. Remember, these you don't move up and down. Even if it had a negative here, you don't move it. If it has a negative here, you don't move it. This is only for negative exponents. A 2 and a 4 can reduce to 1/2. Numbers reduce normal like the way numbers do. This one, which one moves? The negative one. We don't want to have the negative one. This is negative 3. When I move it down here, it's going to be positive. And again, looking at these, which one am I going to move? Well, always, when you have a negative, move that one. Move the negative up. If it's negative here, but I move it up, it's going to be what? Positive over here. All right. So what's left here? A 1. Here, this one went down, so there's nothing there. So the only thing left in the numerator is the y4 with the y2. That's y6. Right? You add them up, it's 6. 4 plus 2 is 6. What's left in the denominator? I still got a 2. And then these. 3 and another 3. Adding the 3 and the 3, x6. There's number 8. Number 9. 4m negative 1 over 2m negative 4 and negative 2. Ooh. Okay, like I said over here, let's kind of break this up and only look at the ones I need to look at. The numbers go with the numbers. The m's, see, I'm kind of separating them a little bit so I can see it. The m's are gonna go with the m's. And what about this? What about this? There's no n over here. Well, I just put a 1. 1 over n negative 2. This deals with this, has nothing to do with these. This deals with this, have nothing to do with these. And this is by itself. Now we look at them individually. 4 divided by 2, or 4 and a 2 reduced to 2 over 1. Here, you only want to move one of them. Remember I said you only want to move one of them. And the one I'm going to choose to move is this bigger negative up here. So if it's negative here, when I move it over here, it's going to be what? Positive 4. And this one is the only n there, but I don't want it negative. So I'm going to move it up where? Over here, and it's going to turn what? Positive 2. So this one's not here anymore. This is a 1, and this one's not here anymore. So really on the bottom, we only have a 1. And this is what's left on the top. What's left on the top? A 2. Negative 1 plus 4 is the same as 4 take away 1. So that's m to the power of what? 3. Right, you add those, you get a positive 3. And remember, we didn't want to leave anything with a negative exponent, so we moved it up, and it just stays like that. And if it's only a 1 in the bottom, well, the answer is just 2m3n squared. Okay, there it is.